By the time you finish this sentence, someone just made money in their sleep, and chances are, it wasn't you. This is a brutal fact. Every second, the wealthy are compounding wealth, not because they work harder, but because they've cracked a code. A code most people will never see. A code buried under generations of financial lies, miseducation, and systems that reward silence. But you're not here for silence. You're here for truth. And today, you'll hear it. Let me tell you a story first, one that doesn't show up in textbooks. In the dusty corridors of 15th century Florence, there was a boy named Matteo. His father was a cobbler, dirt poor, like everyone else in the slums. But Matteo had one advantage. He was allowed to clean the study of a retired banker named Cosimo. While dusting shelves and stacking parchment, Matteo would eavesdrop. He'd listen to Cosimo talk to noblemen, traders, and city officials. All of them came to seek his advice. Cosimo never raised his voice. He barely moved. But wealth moved around him like wind around a mountain. One day Cosimo called Matteo over and asked, "Do you know what money is?" Matteo, puzzled, said, "It's the coins we use to buy bread." Cosimo laughed. That's currency. Money is trust. And the moment you understand how to create and direct trust, money will never leave your side. That moment sparked Matteo's transformation. Within 20 years, he was one of the most powerful financiers in Europe. But he never forgot the code. Money is trust, and trust is power. Fast forward to today, nothing has changed. The elite still multiply wealth not with labor, but with trust, influence, and systems that run even while they sleep. So what's the code? Let's start decoding it. First is understanding the game. The average person is taught that money is earned through labor. Time in, money out. Work harder, earn more. But the 1% don't play that game. They play a different one entirely. They understand that. Money is abundant, not scarce. Value is perception. Systems beat effort. Ownership is power. Leverage is the multiplier. To them, the game is about positioning, not running faster. If you want to multiply wealth in your sleep, the first rule is simple. Stop trading time for money. You were trained to believe that wealth is built by effort alone, by clocking in, grinding harder, staying later, hustling more. But the elite, the 1%, they understood something deeper. They understood that wealth isn't built by time. It's built by escape from time. The more your income depends on your hours, the more you're trapped. The more it scales without you, the closer you are to their level. It begins with a different kind of education, one never taught in schools. Not the memorization of facts, not algebra, or the dates of wars. Their education is rooted in systems thinking, in leverage, in the psychology of markets, and in the silent power of capital flow. While most are trained to become workers and consumers, the 1% are trained to become the architects of systems that do not sleep. Some of them learned this from mentors. Some inherited this mindset through families who understood generational compounding. Others stumbled upon it and never looked back. But regardless of how they arrived, they all realized one truth. If your money isn't working while you sleep, you'll be working for the rest of your life. You see, time is finite, but assets are not. The wealthy acquire or create assets, things that make money without their constant presence. Businesses, real estate, stocks, IP, licenses, systems. They build flywheels, machines that spin whether they're awake or not. But before we go deeper into what these machines are made of, let's talk about mindset. Because mindset is the invisible hand turning the gears. It is the invisible operating system. Picture two minds. Same intelligence, same education level, same job. One believes money is evil. The other believes money is a tool. One thinks wealth is a zero-sum game. The other sees it as limitless. One saves money out of fear. The other allocates money like a general deploying troops. Guess who wins? This is what separates the elite. They don't see money as the goal. They see it as a force multiplier. This is why when the middle class gets a paycheck, they spend. When the rich get a paycheck, they invest. It's the operating system. And it's time you upgraded yours. Let's reprogram how you see wealth. The power of passive income. You hear this phrase a lot, but what does it really mean? And more importantly, how do you make it work for you? Passive income isn't a lottery ticket. It's a strategy. It's building assets that pay you without your constant involvement. Real estate, stocks, intellectual property. These are all tools in the toolkit of the elite. Imagine you own a house. This house is more than just a structure. It's a money-making machine. You've invested in a rental property, and every month, tenants send you money. You're not working for it. You've set things in motion, and now it works for you. This is just one example, but the point is this. The wealthy don't work for money. They get paid by creating things that produce cash flow without their daily intervention. So, how can you use this strategy? The 1% uses their capital to buy or build businesses that run themselves. They don't put in hours. They put in structures that work for them. Let me tell you another story. In the 1800s, there was a man named Cornelius, a young boy with dirty boots and empty pockets, watching rich men walk through the streets of New York in carriages. He was a ferry boy at first, moving people across waters, collecting pennies. Every night he'd sleep beside the boats, soaked from the ocean mist, yet burning with ambition. But Cornelius didn't want to just work. He watched patterns. He studied movement. He noticed how the rich never worked the way the poor did. They weren't running the boats, they owned them. They weren't selling the fish, they owned the docks. They didn't count coins, they controlled flow. So he saved, ruthlessly, not to buy things, but to buy leverage, a small boat, then a bigger one, then a fleet. By the time others noticed, he didn't need to be there anymore. His boats made money while he slept, and it didn't stop at ferries. He moved into railroads, then into energy. By the time he died, Cornelius Vanderbilt had become one of the richest men in American history. Was it luck? It was vision of escaping the time trap, of owning infrastructure, and of controlling processes that generate wealth. That blueprint hasn't changed. The modern 1% follow the same rhythm, except now the tools are different. Capital markets, code, digital real estate, scalable systems, and compound interest that grows like wildfire. They understand three core truths. First, wealth is a game of positioning, not effort, but where you stand and what you stand on. Second, leverage is the great multiplier. Third, time, if not mastered, becomes your master. When the rest of the world is asleep, passive income engines are turning. Rental properties are collecting payments. Stocks are accruing dividends. Algorithms are trading based on preset strategies. Products are being bought from e-commerce stores. Courses are being sold to strangers across the planet. Royalties from books, licenses, patents, all trickling in like invisible rivers. These aren't miracles. They're engineered. The 1% build these structures, slowly, strategically, and once built, they let them run. They don't wake up hoping for money. They wake up to check what their systems earned overnight. But it's not just about owning assets. It's about owning attention, owning demand, controlling narratives. Many of them understand psychology on a surgical level. They don't sell you a product. They sell you an identity. That's how brands are built. And brands, they sleep for no one. They produce even in silence. Now let's dive into the core of these structures. Leverage. Leverage is the secret weapon of the wealthy. It's the engine that powers everything they do. In its simplest form, leverage means using other people's money, or assets, to multiply your own. But how does this play out in practice? Let's say you want to buy a house. You don't have enough cash to pay for it, but you're smart. You understand the concept of leverage. So, you take out a mortgage. You borrow money from a bank, and then you use that house to generate rental income. The bank has helped you buy an asset. That asset is now generating cash flow. But here's the twist. You're not working for that money. The property is working for you. Leverage is a tool that allows the rich to scale quickly. With it, they can multiply their investments exponentially without needing to own everything outright. The more leverage you have, the faster you can grow your wealth. And guess what? The wealthy aren't just using leverage to buy real estate. They're using it across all areas. Businesses, stocks, partnerships. They're using leverage to scale their wealth without increasing the amount of work they do. But leverage isn't just about money, it's also about systems. The richest individuals and families in the world have mastered the art of building systems that generate cash flow on autopilot. So, what are these systems? Let's dig into them. If you want to build wealth that grows while you sleep, you need to automate your income. Systems are the core of wealth building. The rich build systems that run with little to no daily input. Businesses that operate 24/7, investments that compound automatically, income streams that don't require a time clock. A perfect example is a tech startup. Once you have the right product, the right marketing, and the right systems in place, your business can run itself. Customers can purchase your product or service any time of day, and you'll never have to clock in to make money. But it doesn't stop there. The most successful wealth systems are scalable. That means that as the system grows, the wealth generated does so exponentially. Imagine you start a small online business. At first, your profits are modest. But as you perfect your systems, improve your processes, and scale, your income multiplies, often without a direct increase in effort. This is the power of systems. The elite understand that systems are more powerful than hard work. They know that the real money is made in the infrastructure, in the machines that run in the background. And let's be clear here. This is not about get-rich-quick schemes. This is about building something that grows sustainably and exponentially. Now that we've laid the groundwork for leverage and systems, let's get into the magic of compounding. The wealthy are also masters of compounding. You've probably heard of compound interest, but the elite take it a step further. They use compounding principles not just for investments, but across their entire wealth-building strategies. They understand that small, consistent actions, when repeated over time, create massive returns. And this doesn't just apply to money. It applies to everything. In the next few minutes, we'll uncover how the rich use compounding principles across different wealth-building activities to multiply their assets, and how you can too. We hear about compound interest often, usually in the context of a savings account or investment account. But here's the thing. The richest people in the world don't just rely on compound interest alone. They apply compounding to every aspect of their financial life. This is how it works. You're not just letting your money earn interest. You're leveraging it in a way that multiplies your returns exponentially over time. The process of compounding isn't just about having your money grow. It's about accumulating assets that increase your wealth in multiple ways. For example, let's say you own a business. The more customers you get, the more profits you generate. As your profits grow, you reinvest those earnings back into the business, improving systems, scaling, and expanding. Now, your business is not just growing at a linear pace, but at an accelerating pace. This is the power of compounding in the world of the wealthy. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Compound growth isn't limited to just investments or businesses. The wealthiest individuals apply compounding principles across the board, from their health to their personal relationships, to the ideas and opportunities they pursue. And here's how it works. The invisible hand, network, and influence. While the concept of compounding works beautifully with money and business, there's another type of compounding the wealthiest understand. The compounding effect of relationships, influence, and networks. You see, it's not just what you know, it's who you know. And for the 1%, it's not just about having a network. It's about having a strategic network that can open doors, create opportunities, and scale their wealth even further. Take the example of someone like Warren Buffett. He's not just a master of investing in companies. He's a master of creating relationships that benefit him across the board. His ability to leverage his network to access exclusive investment deals, partnerships, and information is a massive part of why he's so successful. The wealthiest individuals are constantly expanding their networks and creating symbiotic relationships that work in their favor. And they don't do it through superficial connections. They're about adding value to others, creating win-win situations that pay off over time. Next up is automation. This is where most people miss out, because they are stuck in the cycle of trading time for money. What the 1% does is automate everything, from their income streams to their investments. They understand that the real power comes from setting things in motion and watching them run without intervention. Let's say you start a business and you create a system where customers purchase products online. You set up everything, from your website to your payment systems, so it runs automatically. You can sleep, travel, or do whatever you want, and the business is still generating income. That's the automation that sets the wealthy apart. But it's not just about businesses. It extends to investments too. Today, the best investors use algorithms, AI, and automated tools to manage their portfolios. They set it up once, and then the system makes decisions for them, optimizing investments, buying low and selling high, all without them needing to intervene. Automation doesn't just save time, it amplifies wealth. The next is creating of intellectual property. Now let's talk about one of the most overlooked but powerful forms of wealth building: the intellectual property, IP. For most people, the idea of creating something that can earn money passively feels distant. But the wealthy understand that IP, be it books, patents, software, or art, is an incredibly lucrative source of wealth. Once you've created intellectual property, you don't need to actively work to earn from it. Let's take authors, for instance. The most successful authors create a book once, and that book generates income for them over and over again. Same goes for patents. Someone who owns a patent for a specific piece of technology or innovation can license it to companies, earning money each time someone uses or manufactures their patented product. The key is that the intellectual property becomes an asset that can be used to generate recurring income with minimal effort. Next, the forever money, long-term investing. The wealthy also invest with a long-term mindset. They understand that it's not about making quick gains or chasing the next hot stock. It's about building long-term wealth that can last generations. Take real estate, for example. The 1% invests in properties not just for immediate cash flow, but also for the long-term capital appreciation. Over decades, those properties grow in value, and the rent rolls in every month. The wealthy know that patience pays off when it comes to these kinds of investments. Even the stock market isn't just about trading for short-term profits. The true wealthy know how to identify long-term investments that will grow steadily over time. They build up massive portfolios of stocks and bonds that appreciate and pay dividends without them needing to be hands-on in the day-to-day operations. The final piece, the wealth mentality. So far, we've covered strategies, systems, and techniques that help the elite multiply their wealth. But none of this would matter if they didn't have the right mentality. The richest people in the world think differently. They see opportunities where others see risks. They are patient when others are impulsive. They are willing to take calculated risks, and they know how to use their failures as stepping stones to greater success. It's this mindset that allows them to multiply their wealth while they sleep. They aren't just thinking about today or tomorrow. They're thinking about the legacy they'll leave for their children and grandchildren. And here's the final lesson for you. Wealth building isn't just about what you do right now. It's about building the foundation that will generate returns long into the future. So what can you do? Start where they started. By learning the language of wealth. Study systems, not just skills. Ask, can this thing I'm building work without me? Can it scale without my body in the room? If I died tomorrow, would it still run? Build digital assets. Write, code, create. Own intellectual property. Learn how money flows. Learn why people buy. Learn what makes attention stick. Buy assets that spit cash. Real estate, stocks, and royalties. Create products. Create tools. Create brands. Create value that doesn't sleep. Because while you sleep, the 1% aren't resting. Their machines are running. Their ideas are compounding. Their capital is multiplying. And every hour that passes, the gap grows wider. You don't need to be born rich. You need to build rich. Quietly, strategically, and relentlessly. Because once your money starts working harder than you do, the game changes forever. And when that happens, you'll understand that wealth isn't about effort. It's about escape. And the 1%? They escaped the time trap long ago. If you take these steps seriously and apply them consistently, you'll start seeing the results. It's all about creating wealth for the long term, one decision at a time. If you find this video valuable, click on the next video to know more. See you in the next one.